The decision to cut off Rick's hand was pretty bold. To cut off Rick's hand.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So what was your when you were writing? What was your thoughts about doing that? Did you have any trepidation, or did you want to maybe cut out, or you like cutting off?
You know, this is an easy answer. I mean, first of all, it happened in the comic, but Mr. Andrew Lincoln. Mr. Andrew Lincoln was pushing that. We had talked about it throughout the whole show. Sometimes I was on it, sometimes he was on it. A lot of times the network wasn't on it because that's visual effects. But that was Andrew Lincoln. He pushed that past the finish line. And then immediately regretted it. And then came around on it. And then sometimes, you know, but it was an amazing first scene.
What if the franchise would allow you to continue on and tell the story that the franchise will go on for audiences engaged and keep on coming back for more?
I think it's this kind of nebulous thing of Walking Dead story values that starts with Robert Kirkman. Though, you know, funny enough, it's what makes TV great. It's characters first. It's people that you like. It's people that you wish were in your office, or your school, or your church, or your synagogue. And then if you care about these characters in a world where people die or people change into something maybe, and I'm not talking about walkers, but change into people that you don't like, I think that's a powerful recipe. And then what we've done from there is we do some shows that are very experimental, and they're a little crazy, and then we have these shows that feature those characters that people love. But it's always characters first. And then novelty, respecting the audience, taking lots of chances, and sometimes the audience gets mad about that, but you have to for them, because you can't worry about yourself. You gotta make the story as interesting, as exciting, as deep for them as possible. So there is some DNA throughout all of those series.
So as a writer, how do you kind of go from writing to breaking through into writing for a network? Like how did you do that, and what advice would you give to a younger writer?
It's such a different world. The number one annoying thing is write. And if writing is painful, don't write. Write what you love. My best piece of advice that I developed is find that show that you love, that inspires you so much. Pretend you're back in an era when this happened, when shows came on after each other, and write the show that would come on after that show. That's you, that's your own thing. I came up through comics and then animation, and there were sort of like little gulfs of employment between there. And then after daytime animation, there was a big gulf of unemployment to live action. But what I was doing in all of those was being inspired by stuff and then trying to write the stuff that if it was a comic, it would be on the rack next to it. If it was an animated show, it would be next. Well, actually, I was trying to write the show that would come on after a show called The Adventures of Pete and Pete. And then, when I was doing my scripts, it's a very long time ago, like when I was starting out in live action, I was trying to write that show that would come on after Lost or Prison Break, 24. Shows that just brought audiences along, that helped frame their week, that helped frame their lives for like 4 months. But if it's painful, don't hurt yourself. There's all sorts of cool things to do in this industry.
Do you imagine that we've entered an era where there may never not be a Walking Dead show on the air? Like, we've got these franchises now that have been able to sustain over decades. Do you think The Walking Dead is going to be that kind of durable TV franchise?
Robert Kirkman, when he initially pitched the comic to Image, it was a zombie movie that would never end. He would always see the zombie movies and be like, wait, what happens after that? And it was a brilliant idea, and then Robert's own brilliance of character and novelty. Incredible dialogue. It hooked me. as a comic reader. And even though I was working on the show when this happened, when he stopped the comic, I was bummed out because I wanted that zombie movie that never ends. So we're picking up the torch and we're trying to do that. It's hard in a world where there's a billion TV shows, but yes, the goal is to always have Walking Dead shows on the air and to have those shows that feature the characters people love and then take those chances and be experimental and do new things with other shows. But, you know, I guess to your question, challenge accepted. So, done.
Any good shots with the wide lens?
You know what? I'm realizing standing right here, I wanted to take one on stage, and I was too freaked out that I made no sense up there. So yes, I want to take one now. There will be no releases, but I will not publish this. Going with 2.8. So. See how it is.